The idea for ThinkUp came through my own challenges as being a founder in my previous startup. And I was just longing for an easy to use software that can just push everything forward much faster. That's how I came into that. Some entrepreneurs are not building for today's problems, but they're forecasting what's going to be the problems 3-4 years from now.
All right. Hey, welcome, Ohad, to my startup founder podcast. It's a pleasure to have you on. It's. I hope things have been going well since we last spoke.
Yeah. Thank you for having me, Brandon. Happy to be here.
Yeah. So of course, you're working on a company that helps startups accelerate them, and we'll go all into that. That's of course very important because there's so many startup founders. They face numerous challenges and often get discouraged in the early phases of starting a company. And it really does feel like you're staring down an impossible task. So I'm glad that you're taking on that problem. But before we jump into that, do you mind just telling me a bit about yourself, what you were doing before you got into this space, and how you ultimately ended up there?
So I have a degree in computer science. I have a background in programming. And 20 years ago, I left my job to join my father running our own family office. We've made all sorts of investments, early stage, late stage, in various industries. And in the last decade, I've been building my own startups.
Gotcha. And do you mind if I ask what industry was your father in that you worked with him in?
My father was a dentist, and he became an angel. He started as a dentist, and at some point 20 years ago, he went into high tech as an angel investor, was one of the founders of 888.com, an online gaming company. And
cool.
Then we spread out to life science. He's being a dentist, is more familiar with life science and pharmaceutical than with Wi-Fi and routers and PCs. So, and I went into clean tech as well. That was my passion. And, and then just enterprise software, boring enterprise software.
Yeah. Well, it seems like it's a good space to be in, like the B2B space. So that's also the space I'm going into. So yeah, we'll talk more about that, I'm sure, with your product. So of course, like I mentioned, it's to help startups. But yeah, tell me how you came about this product and thought up this idea to help startups accelerate.
Yeah, absolutely. So the idea for ThinkUp came through my own challenges as being a founder in my previous startup. And we had a vision for the first startup in the IoT domain. And we researched the market, every single domain of IoT, smart homes, smart cities, mobility, industrial 4.0. And that made me a bit frustrated of doing all the market research and coming up with the problems, identifying problems and validating solutions. And I was just longing for an easy to use software that can just push everything forward much faster. That's how I came into that.
Yeah, I mean, sitting here right now, I'm thinking it would be nice to have a nice platform that encapsulates that whole process, so you don't have to learn every lesson as a separate, path that you go down, and you go down the wrong path oftentimes, and you have to double back and so on. So yeah, to have that all on one platform, that would be amazing. So say I'm starting a company, I join your platform. Where do I start? What's the user journey there?
So we ask the user to specify the problem that he's trying to solve. That's the most important thing.
Yep.
And then the solution, his idea in a nutshell. He then selects his industry segment. And then once we have that initial concept of who he is, what his idea is about, he then starts with the first module, customer discovery. And he's presented with a set of questions. Who are his end users, decision makers? Who are the personas, their needs, their pains, their goals? And he needs to map one persona after another. At the end, we present some insights about his answers. about his work. We present a summary of his work. We present some insights so he can reflect on the work that he's done. And then we present a few investor questions, for simulation. So we can think about the work that he's done and be better prepared for investor meetings. And in each step of the way, for almost every task that he has to answer, that he has to complete, we present suggestions coming from AI, from LLM. So he feeds in the sports tech, and we're asking who are his end users. We can present some options and suggestions like, basketball players, swimmers, athletes. So it's generic, but it's all also tailored and customized to each and every specific idea.
When you're giving feedback, is it mostly the AI, the LLMs that are giving that feedback, or is it also you have human mentors that are getting involved here and offering their own advice?
So it's mainly AI based.
Gotcha.
But we encourage our users to reach out to us for office hours, mentorship, and support sessions. And we're more than happy to provide additional help because, at the moment, AI is still not as good as humans, and hopefully for the next few years.
Yeah, keep us in business, right?
Yeah.
Is your platform, would it be, is it closer to like a toolbox where I can, use various things throughout my startup journey, or are there certain stages or goals or an ultimate goal or an ultimate stage of the startup that you're trying to get the founder to, like maybe, get them to a Series A or something, or get them to pre-seed funding? Is there a certain stage you're trying to get them to?
Yeah, absolutely. Exactly. So there are stages. The final stage at the moment for us is the pre-seed funding. And before that, when you have an idea, the first stage is to validate the problem, make sure that the problem itself is a true pain for many customers. So that's the first stage, problem validation. The second stage is to define a concept, a prototype, a demo, and validate that solution, that prototype resonates with end users, potential customers. So that's validating the solution. And then the third stage is building or completing your pitch deck, the go-to-market, the business model, your team, your financials, your company roadmap. And once you've completed that, then you can move on to the funding preparation phase. Identify the right investors for you, present everything that needs to be presented. That's the process.
Yeah, that sounds comprehensive. Many of the things that took me a while to figure out. Okay, I got to do this. A demo was a big one. Seeing that first demo that really people become engaged with, and you can see, there's a clear difference between the engagement I get with someone when they see a demo that clearly solves their problem versus if I don't have one. So that was a big lesson for me.
Yeah.
And so along this path, is there a certain point where you see most people typically making the biggest pitfalls, or the most common pitfall that they get caught up in?
Customer interviews. Absolutely. Customer interviews. That's the most difficult part. The least engaging. People are afraid. People don't appreciate it. People don't make enough effort to step out of the comfort zone, step out of the building, and interview people. That's the biggest pitfall.
Yeah, and that's another thing that I ran into myself when trying to get into the dental software space. You walk into a dental office, and I mean, they're busy. They have patients that they're seeing. You have to make it past kind of the front desk. They don't really want to let you talk to the dentist, and then eventually you have to try to get a way to talk to them. And the dentist, of course, is busy. You can try calling the office, but then I tried that, and oftentimes they think you're some kind of scammer or something. So that's discouraging. So it really is tough. But once you do find that initial source of like good customers that give you feedback, then that's almost kind of like also a big advantage against anyone else who hasn't had a chance to do that yet. So it really is critical there. Yeah,
absolutely. So that's one of our biggest challenges: helping entrepreneurs pass through that phase of customer interviews. That's also our challenge. Yeah.
Yeah. And do you have a certain method that you suggest to them to use to, is it just a matter of giving them the confidence to push past the rejection and talk to more potential customers, or is there a certain method that you guys use or certain software to get better access to the customers?
We first help them preparing a draft for the interview with
Okay.
the proper questions.
Right.
Uh, so the interview script is number one. The second step is finding where the potential customers are hanging out. So we offer suggestions like meetup groups, LinkedIn contacts, Reddit groups, subreddits. So this is where we help them also with the reach out. Craft or draft an email or a direct message over LinkedIn. And the final step, they have to record the interview themselves. They can upload it to our platform, and then we help them analyze it automatically. We provide a summary and some analysis and insights. Has the problem been identified clearly? Has it been validated? Is it a pain or not?
Yeah, I found that the internet forums in a certain niche, whatever niche you're going after, that's, as you mentioned, very extremely effective. And then hosting events, I mean, that's, I think, one of the most invaluable things that I've come across. And I think anyone that goes, starts any kind of business should host events in that niche that you're getting into, because you'll meet so many connections in that space.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah.
As you're starting a company like this, of course, someone who's starting their own startup, there's a lot of people that they're interfacing with, different vendors, different parties. Who on your side are you interfacing with? Are you connecting with investors to try to connect them with the entrepreneurs on your platform? And who else is involved in this space?
So our platform actually kind of resonates with the entire ecosystem. Besides the entrepreneur, it's going to be at the end of the day a two-sided marketplace where we match entrepreneurs with investors. So
Okay.
investors are clearly another persona. Corporates looking for deal flow, looking for pilots, looking for technologies. Corporates looking for open innovation. That's another stakeholder. We might collaborate, with service providers, offering services to early stage startups, working with accelerators, incubators, universities, you name it. Everyone that's involved in entrepreneurship could gain some benefit.
Yeah, definitely. The bigger the network that you form, I mean, there's always a benefit to having that network and having it ahead of whenever you need it. Because once it's very effective to already know the person that you need when you need them. So it's great to build that out early. And I know you mentioned your father, of course. Was he your main mentor? Getting into the startup space, or was there anyone else who you learned from a lot?
Yeah, so it was first my father. It was mainly his vision and passion. He wasn't a professional investor. He didn't do his due diligence very thoroughly. It was more based on instincts. But his passion, his vision, his drive, and motivation, what built me up initially. I hired an investment manager early on, so I learned a lot from him. And along the way, I met a negotiation specialist. I met a futurist, a professor futurist that helped me set up my first company, my first startup, trying to identify future trends, not just current and immediate problems. You have to build your own set of advisors and people and friends and colleagues that you refer to. So, I have a big network of entrepreneurs, investors, executives. I love to learn from many people.
Yeah, I like that way of thinking of it. Not just a single mentor, but a network of mentors, a network of people that you learn from. I think that's probably the best way.
Yeah.
And you mentioned timing your product so that the technology is mature enough, right, for for whatever problem it's trying to solve. It's such a tough thing to do, though, it seems. And of course, there's famous people like Ray Kurzweil, who's tried to predict over the decades certain technological points in time when technology will be ready to do various things. But it seems such a tough thing to do. Do you have a technique that you use to gauge, is this ready for to solve today's problems or not?
Well, my methodology was to use someone which is similar to Ray Kurzweil,
Yeah,
uh, also in trends and forecasting. It's not an exact science, it's not
yeah,
math. So you can never know. And I don't recommend that for the common entrepreneur because you need a few
yeah,
years of runway and cash flow. And I can't say that I've done that a few times successfully. So that was just the first time. We're still seeing that picking up. It's very
gotcha.
risky, but that was more exciting for me. I wanted to be the first. I wanted to be a contrarian.
Yeah,
So it was
that's
exciting for
great.
me.
Yeah. Yeah, and I think that even if our predictive model is not perfect, then at the very least you can kind of like we talked about before, test with the customers, show them the demo, and see is this solving their problem, and that kind of gives you the empirical evidence if you think it'll be there or not. So that's a good way to
Absolutely.
validate. Yeah,
I've just been in an event today that investors spoke about, the new world that we're living in. You know, you mentioned Ray Kurzweil. I think
yeah,
we've reached singularity
yeah,
because the world is,
probably.
yeah, we're on the other side of the singularity point,
Yeah,
and things are behaving much differently. So people today, some entrepreneurs are not building for today's problems, but they're forecasting what's going to be the problems 3-4 years from now, like agents developing, the agents market. So they're building solutions for problems coming up within 3 years.
yeah.
Harder, but maybe that's the way because today's problem not going to be the same problems 2 years from now, 3 years from now. Very difficult to know what to do now.
Yeah, yeah, it's such a moving target because technology is advancing so quickly. Like you said, yeah, we may very well be past that singularity point, the point where just there's such a drastic change in the way in everything about life and society because technology is advancing so quickly. It feels even now, yeah, that there is no turning back because all these investments are being made. The data centers are being planted across the globe, and so it all seems to be happening. So yeah, we'll see how that all plays out. And what's your ultimate vision for it? And I think you hinted at it before. What's your ultimate vision for your company? I heard you mention like kind of an exchange for startup founders and investors. Is that it, or is there something else?
Well, first of all, we want entrepreneurs to be more professional, more confident,
Yeah,
more thorough, and to have a more solid journey, uh, less stressful, maybe faster. So, first and foremost, more professional and successful entrepreneurs. That's
mhm.
our goal. That's our vision. For our own company, we want to be the go-to platform, the go-to choice for them. A few years from now, we will be happy if most of the entrepreneurs will start their journey without platform.
Yeah, yeah, that would be great. So moving towards that vision, what do you feel like your platform? How does it really separate itself out from other players in the industry? Of course, there's some like famous accelerator hubs like YC or Techstars. I know you guys are more digitally focused. Is that the main differentiator, or if not, what is the main differentiator?
I think YC and Techstars are a bit down the line, the journey, the entrepreneurship
Okay,
journey. They're looking for cohorts with teams with MVP, some validation, maybe initial traction. We're trying to support entrepreneurs on their ideation phase, much, much early. Plus, YC has 30,000 annual applications, but they only accept three, four, 500.
right.
What happens to the rest, 29,000,
Yeah,
And then you have, if you've been accepted, you probably have to move to the Valley or to New York or somewhere else. And
right,
then there's a program, 3, 4, 6 months, which is not tailored for you. You have to adapt and to adjust yourself to the program. So think about all of the 30,000 entrepreneurs at their own home, starting their own program, personalized, tailored to them. That's us, and it doesn't end. It doesn't have to end after 3, 4, 5, 6 months. They can use the platform whenever and how much they want to.
Yeah, I feel that that pressure you referenced the acceptance rates for these programs like YC. It just feels so discouraging even applying to them because the acceptance rate's so low. But of course, if they're offering advice that they've gained over the years for how to start a company successfully, repeatable techniques, then I mean, there's no reason to put a limit on disseminating that information, right? So it makes sense
Yeah.
to scale up beyond just one-on-one in person kind of format. So yeah,
Yeah.
that's good that you're scaling up there and bringing that information to more people. Your company's operating out of Tel Aviv, did you say?
Yeah, at the moment, and we're starting to reach out to Eastern and Central Europe and New York.
Eh,
But most of our customers at the moment are US based.
oh, they are US based. Yeah,
Yeah. Most of the customers were the traction comes from US. Our direct channels, the PPC, the campaigns, all of our marketing spend is geared toward the US.
got it. And how has it been starting a company in Tel Aviv? How's the space been there? And of course, I know you said your market's more in the US, but yeah, how was that
Yeah.
starting out?
Well, we started out during COVID, so
Yeah,
that was
yeah, it's
one
unique. Yeah,
one challenge, and then we've got some geopolitical issues, so that's another
sure.
challenge. Hasn't been easy, and but now we've got good traction, paying customers, and we're gonna start coming to the ecosystem, specifically in New York. And let's see how it goes. Hopefully, we can provide some value to New Yorkers.
Yeah, absolutely. And when people join your program, you mentioned before that it's not just one and done. They can stay involved, stay in touch with you guys. Is there a community aspect to your platform where different members can communicate with each other, post their common problems, help each other out?
Not yet. We're planning on maybe building one, down the road.
Got it. On the
Community of
roadmap.
people. Yeah, yeah.
Gotcha. What would you say makes this industry, the startup space, as in helping other startups start companies or start their company? How would you say it's faring, or what's your projection for it? Is the startup industry itself, does it feel like it's growing? How is it reacting to the whole influence of AI? Where do you see the startup industry itself, or the startup service industry, maybe I should call it? Where do you see that going?
I think over the last 10 years, at least as far as I have data, it's been growing, the number of startups being established. And now with vibe coding tools, it's like anyone can be an
Yeah,
entrepreneur. And, the boundaries have been maybe broken or changed or expanded. And I think we're going to see, on one end, a lot of more of innovation. Everyone wants to be an entrepreneur. On the other hand, the changes, the shifts in AI, the tech giants, the focus on the valley and the tech giants, it makes it harder for people to create new companies. If they still want to hire employees, compete with the salaries and the benefits of the big techs, that's the challenges that the industry is facing.
yeah, of course. Yeah, we have Facebook giving out $100 million salaries to people, so it seems
Yeah.
how as a small startup could you compete with that? But I'm sure the key like in past cycles is finding those niches that either the big companies. I mean, they won't be willing to go into a niche that's small enough because it's not profitable enough for them. But
Yeah.
if you step
Yeah.
into that niche, then by the time you start growing there, and they realize, oh wait, there's an opportunity here. Then at that point, you're already growing, and you have that domain knowledge and that incumbency that helps you continue. So
Yeah.
that still
That's the
stands to
playbook.
be true in the age of AI.
Yeah. That's the playbook. Yeah.
Right,
Yeah.
right. What would you say have been some of the biggest challenges you've faced? Of course, you mentioned early on in the interview that the reason that you came up with this idea in the first place was because it is so challenging to start a company. Now, starting a
Yeah.
company to help other people start companies, were there a whole new set of challenges there, or was that were you able to use your playbook that you give to startup founders to start this company?
Yeah, absolutely. It's every startup has its own challenges,
Right.
and we haven't cracked all of the playbook for us. It's still, building a product, such a comprehensive product for the entrepreneurs, for the investors, including AI, scaling the mentorship. It's a long ride. And I've faced many challenges. The passing away of my father, and I was
Sorry.
responsible, yeah, suddenly for a portfolio of 15 startups.
Oh wow.
Each and every yeah, each and every one of them was in a live or die state or situation, and that was very challenging. And then, creating the first startup was challenging. Finding the use case, the customers, and growing it.
Yeah, yeah, that's the life of starting a company, one challenge after the
Yeah,
other. So you just have to get used to that lifestyle and try to enjoy it. And a lot of it
yeah,
is enjoyable if you take the right perspective. Um,
yeah,
but still tough. But a
yeah,
question I thought of earlier, I forgot to ask actually, when you mentioned the vibe coding, yeah, I'm wondering, does it make sense to you think to partner with one of those guys? You have all these people starting companies, right? They whip up a
yeah,
company on one of these vibe coding sites. It sounds like a nice funnel right into your platform, and then they can take their MVP, ramp it up on your platform, and then go from there. Is that something you guys look at?
absolutely. Yeah, yeah, absolutely. Look, we can't solve everything,
Sure.
in the journey. We're not gonna solve the pattern search and the vibe coding stuff
Right.
and some of the interview analysis or support. So many things in the journey. It's not gonna make sense to have a
Yeah.
all-in-one platform. We're gonna
Oh yeah.
use solutions wherever we can. Yeah,
Right. Yeah, yeah, that makes sense. Not to divide yourself too thin, but yeah, maybe just partner with someone that's already doing that. And
yeah, exactly.
what would you say are some of the most valuable insights if there's someone else who's starting a company right now, and what's the thing that you could say in not too many words that would benefit them the most and give them the most ROI and really help them along their startup journey?
Mental and financial preparation. It's going to be longer, tougher, more
Yeah.
expensive than you expect.
Yes.
Uh, you have to commit yourself. It's almost a 24/7 work. And, it's going to be less outdoor activities, less family time. You have to be committed. You have to be professional. You have to be one of the best in your niche. So that's, on a general note, there's going to be ups and downs. You have to be prepared and be prepared professionally. If you come up with more and more domain expertise, as you mentioned before, the dental space, if
Yeah.
you know your customers and your industry beforehand as much as possible, and you know some of the dimensions of building a company, product, tech, HR, sales, marketing, financials, legal, once you start the journey, it's going to be a bit easier.
Yeah, it's hard but true advice. It really does. It has to be a lifestyle where you're all in. Just like, I don't know, like learning a language, you have to be immersed in it. You have to really be immersed in the startup culture and lifestyle. And one thing that I found personally that helped me a lot was actually hosting startup events. And you can host it in your certain niche. If it's in the dental space, you could host dental events because you meet other people in this space, and it kind of creates a community of other people that are also struggling in this startup space. You can one help each other out, but also just be there for moral support. You're in the similar situation, and then that
Yeah,
kind of allows you to have more time with friends while still working towards your goals because you're networking with them, you're learning from them. So it's sort of, if you can align your things outside of the startup world with the ones in, then that's, I think, the key to managing like being fully in the lifestyle of starting a company.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Fully agree.
And anything else that you wanted to touch on before we wrap things up here?
Yeah, I think we said it. It's a
Yeah.
tough journey. It's a profession. Innovation and startup is a profession. It's not a hobby. And just make
Right.
sure as many elements as you can. And we're here for you. If anyone wants to reach out, and wants support and guidance, we'll be happy to help.
Great. And sorry, I had one more question that I wanted to ask for my own sake. So I don't have a dental background, but I did go into this space. How big of a risk am I taking by not having that professional domain experience ahead of time versus like jumping into it from a different space? My background's more fintech.
It's a big risk, but what is most important is to focus on how to reduce the risk.
Yeah.
You can team up with an advisory board. You can ramp up an advisory board of dentists
Right.
that can support, consult, and give you some guidance that will, shorten your learning curve.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, definitely. I will strengthen those partnerships with my dental connections and really try to accelerate that domain knowledge.
Just gather around yourself a team. If
Yes.
you're not as good, in marketing, get a marketing specialist. If you don't
Right.
know your domain, get a domain expert. Yeah.
Right. Yeah. Strengthen the weak points, and then overall,
Yeah.
yeah, make it a nice, stable startup machine for yourself. Yeah. Well, it's been a pleasure talking with you. I've learned a lot that's been insightful for my own startup journey, and I just hearing about your product. It's something that I myself, as a founder, would genuinely be interested in checking out and seeing how I can leverage it. So I think for any startup founder, this would be a great platform and set of tools for them to use. So I look forward to seeing
Amazing.
how it develops and hopefully it increases in the likelihood of succeeding for entrepreneurs and decrease the risk. And that would be great for everyone.
Absolutely amazing. Thank you very much, Brandon. I was happy to be here.
Thanks.